What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? Good evening. Good evening. Happy Wednesday, Poppy's Conversation Corner family. How y'all doing? Come on in the room. Share, heart this video, y'all. I'm excited about tonight, this evening. I'm excited about this conversation because the fire's been placed under me. So y'all gonna get to see that on tonight. I'm excited though, y'all. We have a great person on tonight that we get to talk to, a therapist, doctor, phenomenal woman of God. She's gonna talk to us about what she's done, the trail that she's blazed for so many people, y'all. I'm excited about this conversation. We have Dr. Shantel Thomas, Cincinnati. She's gonna come educate us, inform us, let us know what's going on in her world. I'm excited to be able to pick her brain. She didn't even know. She's going to teach me on something on tonight. Yes, I speak that prophetically. It's going to happen on tonight, y'all. I'm excited. Dr. Shantel Thomas, the CEO, founder of A Sound Mind counseling service. She's an author, speaker. I'm just speaking, and she's a philanthropist. Like I'm putting too much on her. I'm gonna put philanthropist, and then she's gonna come on and be like, "Don't you put that on my." But anyhow, y'all, I'm excited about tonight, y'all. We're gonna get to talk to her, ask some questions, put some questions in the comments, hit the share button, let somebody know that we're talking on tonight about mental health and spirituality, faith. Yes, faith and mental health, how they coincide, how they go together. We're going to have this conversation. But, Mikey, if we can go ahead and bring her on so we can get this conversation started, I'm excited. Yes, it's the smile for me. I don't know if you know about it. So that's when I went looking. I was looking and I found your picture and I said, "Oh yeah, it was the smile." Your
Oh,
Facebook profile picture. She said,
thank you.
yes, it's the smile for me. It's the smile. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you,
Good,
Kerry, for having
good.
me.
No, I'm excited that you said yes. I know your schedule is packed, but you took a little time out to speak with us, so I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. But tell us who you are. Like, who is Dr. Chantel Thomas? Like, who is this wonderful lady that so many people are speaking?
Mm, so, a little bit about me. I am originally from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Mhm,
I came here, moved to Cincinnati with my mother, stepdad, who lived here. So,
mhm.
in Cincinnati, Ohio, ran track, got a scholarship to go to college. While I was there, had a great, phenomenal career, traveling the world, running as a track star. Broke some records, was once NCAA Woman of the Year for Ohio. I'm in the Hall of Fame at my university, University of Toledo.
Oh,
One time I was we had broke the indoor world record in London.
oh
So
wow. Wow.
so yeah, I'm a competitor. I'm still a competitor. I still work out. I'm still very competitive when it comes to things. I want to be the best at whatever I do. And when I was in college, I told my professor, I said, I want to open a Christian counseling private practice. And the professor said to me, that cannot happen. Christian and counseling do not go together. And she said, there's no way you can do that. Nobody will come. And I said, watch me be the first one to do
Watch
it.
me work.
Actually work. That's the competitor in me because I
Yes,
feel like I only compete with myself to be a better person. I might
that's it.
compete with anyone else, but don't tell me what I can't do.
Yeah.
You know.
So what was that like though? Okay, so you come out, you already kind of get the negativity piece of it. African American woman, you're stepping out apparently because now you're gonna open up your own practice. So what was that like? Because I mean, like during the time that I mean, not too many of us are doing what you're about to take on.
Exactly.
So and you're in Cincinnati, which it can be what it can be. So
Huh?
what's that like though? What is that like? Like,
So here in Cincinnati, of course, it just sometimes it amazes me that we're almost half of the population, but we don't have half of the money and the resources, and there's food deserts and all kind of things here for us in our community. So when I first started, I was very intentional about making sure that I went to my community so they knew there were people here who did therapy, therapists that looked like them, had the same experiences, grew up, some of us grew up in poverty. Some of us grew up with gunshots right outside our door, or saw people pass away right in front of us. So we had the lived experience. And I wanted them to know there are men and women here in Cincinnati who look like them, who had that experience. And I wanted it to be not just a one person practice, but grow it to where it would be a middle size or a large private practice here in Cincinnati. So people would have one-stop shopping. So we service the deaf community. There were Spanish-speaking African-American therapists. And we work with children, adults, adolescents, couples. We do groups. We do critical incidents. So when there's shootings and downsizings here in the city, they call us to go and talk to the people who've been robbed at the bank and things like that. So if there's vets that come back from war, we go meet them in the airport and talk with them. So just so they would know, we have people specializing in trauma, therapy, anxiety. So I wanted to make it a place where people could say, oh, I know someone, I know a male who's a therapist, I know a female who's a therapist, and they're African
And
American.
African American. Yeah.
Yes.
So you came up with, because her practice, her service, her business is called A Sound Mind
Yes.
Counseling Services. So when you were in this like birthing stage, if you will, see, I went spiritual on you. When you were in this birthing stage,
Yes.
no, how did that name come about? Like a
Whew.
sound mind. Like was
So,
there something specific?
oh yeah. So me in and of myself. So I am saved, sanctified, by fire baptized, Holy Ghost filled, speaking in tongues, all that. So if you don't know about all that, you better know, better
You better
recognize.
know.
And I'm a licensed minister at my church. So
Oh,
I've been a licensed minister for probably over 15 years now. And so I do speak at churches as well and travel around the U.S. doing that on spiritual warfare, soul ties, anything spiritual. I just spoke in my church on the last 7 sayings of Christ. So for East, for Good Friday.
yes.
So when I was praying, and so I believe in fasting. I believe in the power of prayer. I do believe you have to pray and fast to break certain things. And so for me, usually on Tuesdays, I pray sun up to sundown. I fast, pray and fast. Used to, I haven't a little while here, I've been off track. But anyway, when I was about 23, when I was thinking about starting a Christian counseling practice, I was praying and I was like, Lord, I want to do this for you. I want to run track for you. I want to live for you. I want people to live well, be mentally, physically well, and have peace in their mind. So I was praying and I was like, okay, God, I'm going to call this I'm going to call this majestic metamorphosis. It was like, that's what I saw. The
Oh, oh
butterfly
wow.
was going to go through this change, like it was a woman in a cocoon,
Oh,
but
yeah.
then she would come out, and I had this whole image for a logo. And one night I was praying, the Lord said, I don't know what you're thinking or what you thought you were going to do, but this is my practice. And
Yeah.
so I was praying and I was reading and I heard the Lord say, sound mind. And then I woke up that morning and I was listening to something on the radio and somebody said, we all have to have a sound mind. And then I was driving and I was listening to a preacher, and he was like, 2 Timothy 1:7 says, the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. So I went into the Bible, opened it up to that scripture, and it just was like a sound mind just popped. Like if you just think of words just jumping off the page,
Jumping off the page. Yeah.
that's what it did. The words just jumped off the page. And I was like, that's it. God told me mind, like sound mind. And I was like, I guess he's saying majestic metamorphosis that's not it.
That's not out the window.
Yeah. So sound mind counseling service came from that. I just
Wow.
added on the, back half, but when people would come, the first couple of years, people would just say, I would have at the bottom of the form, why are you here? What do you need? How can we help? Just some questions to kind of get started. And people would always say, because I need a sound mind, or I was driving by and I saw a sound mind and I need peace, or my mind is not right, or I feel double-minded. So I knew the message that God wanted to send was getting out there. They saw something about mind or they needed peace. So a sound mind. And that's
Wow.
how that's where the name came from. And that's
The,
how
the the crazy thing is with that, you know how sometimes like people are like, what's the backstory in there? Like it literally like you had several different things like just pulling at you at the same time, when at the end of the day you already had your idea of what you wanted it to be called, but
right,
then God, because you're connected, God speaking into you, telling you like, no, this is it. He sent you signs,
right.
like even just listening to, I'm sure like just some random sermon, and it's like, oh, and then like driving down the street and listening to, like, it's just, that's a God thing.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because I'm
So
like Gideon, like, well, God, if that's really you, make the floor wet and the fleece dry. And then I'm like, okay, there's 3, and it usually comes
yes,
like that for me.
and 3 signs.
threes. And
Mhm.
so it was three signs. So I knew, I was like, okay, this is it.
That is crazy. So when you started, so you, I'm sure because it was you. So did you go in initially like I'm gonna start a sound mind? And then it was you, and then or did you already have like you already built your team, or like was it hard for you to like because you're coming in like, and I'm sure you had your makeup of like what you want your practice to look like, what you wanted this to be like. I'm sure you had your business plan together because from the inception of us meeting, our this is a woman who has her business together, guys. I'm telling you that.
So
Yes.
you would have thought that, right? But
Yeah.
I was like 20. I want to say I was like 27. I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to do Christian counseling. So I came to Cincinnati. I joined John Thomas's practice called Psychology for Living. And I stayed with him and I told him my goal is to leave in 3 years and start my own practice. But and I told him I just want to watch him, see how it's done. So I
Mhm.
stayed there for like 2 years because I ended up getting, well, we ended up getting pregnant, my husband and I. And so I was like, well, I want to be a mom. But then
Mhm.
when I was home after about 4 months of being pregnant or so, I heard the Lord say, this is not what I called you to do. You got to get back out
Yeah.
there. So I started looking for a space. And I
Mhm.
think at 9 months, I opened in an incubator. It was called the Cincinnati Incubator downtown. It was a one-room office, just me. And I was just doing therapy. And one day a woman called and said, a friend of mine told me that she came to you for therapy. You were really good. You talked to her, you gave her some biblical principles and you gave her some regular traditional counseling principles that she thought worked. And she said, I want to be a Christian counselor.
Mm.
She joined. Then I got another call from another person and they joined. And I told them, I said, look, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I just wanted it to be me. And I was like, so we're gonna have to do this together. And the next thing I know, there was another person and there were two guys. So people started calling, and I'm like, I don't know
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
doing. These people think I got it going on, and I got together. So by the time I was 35, there were like six of us. And so I went from one office down there to the other side, and it had four offices. And so they were part time. So I
Mm.
was the only full time. And then there were five part time people that worked, anywhere from Monday through Sunday until 6 at night. Some came at 9 in the morning, depending on where else they were
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
So I started telling them like, y'all need to help me because I don't know what I'm doing. So we created a little plan where they would do booths. We would all sign up to do speaking engagements and booths and just go out into community. And we did free, events in the community. So the community would know we are here and we are a group of African-American private practitioners. And then I had a woman who was Indian call and say, hey, I want to join. So then I had a true Indian woman who did therapy. So she called, and then I had somebody who was deaf and somebody who was disabled, had a disability. Um, and next thing I knew, it was like, okay, this service, and someone who spoke Spanish. And I thought, okay, it's growing, and I still felt like I still don't know what I'm doing. But then at that point, I started talking to my accountant and someone who was a business coach and said, this is how you do certain things. So it remained a private practice.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody stayed for, at one point, there were 25 of us. Um,
Wow.
and there were four locations. And when COVID hit, that changed the game. Some
Mhm.
people retired, a few people passed away from COVID. And then I downsized from four locations to two. And we still have the Westchester and the Cincinnati, the Hartwell location. But what happened was some of the people said, I just want to be, and I told them, this is not a place where I expect you to stay forever.
Mhm.
When they said, I said, what is your goal? And they would say, my goal is to learn from you and see how you do this and do my own. And so we would create plans. Okay, your plan is to be here for a year. Your plan is to be here for 3 years. I'll coach you. You can watch what I do, and then you leave. Well, nobody left for 15 years. And I kept saying, wait a minute. Now you said you was ready to go. This is supposed to be like an equipping center. I get you ready. I'm not going anywhere. This is great. You're just so great to us. And so I think about 3 years ago, I had like seven people leave, but those seven people have been with me. The least was 12 years. The max,
Mm.
she had been there 18 years, been with me almost. Yeah. So like
Jeez.
her whole life was
Yeah.
started 25 years ago. And so it was like a loss for me, but I was so excited for them.
Yeah.
And so five of them are still in practice. A couple of them are not. They were like, well, can't do it.
Mm.
But five of them are still in practice and doing well. I just communicated with two of them today. So I think it's a great thing that we can stay together for a little while, but we can go out and see that we can each grow and have whatever, if you want just to be a solo practice or a group practice or whatever it may be. So when people come in, I always ask, how long do you plan to stay here?
Mhm.
what do you want to accomplish? And if you want to do Christian counseling, I can train you and help you with that. Or if you just want standard traditional, so they know they have options, and I don't feel like you have to stay here forever. Whatever their dreams are, I want to encourage that. And so I think, God has made it so that people know they could come here and learn and leave.
I love it. I love it. Like literally, like so, where you're talking in my head, all these questions are coming up because I went back because well, it was something you said earlier because you said when you started, you talked to God and you said you still want to run track and you still want to be in the chair. So you continue to like do that career, take on that career of like track and running, and then you were still in the chair, like seeing clients as well, like you were
Yes.
doing
So
both.
when I actually started the private practice, what I started doing, I became a certified fitness trainer.
Mm.
And so, yeah. So what I decided I wanted to do was my clients would come in, I would put them on the treadmill for like a half an hour to an hour, depending on how much they could do. I would do, of course, their whole body wake up, take their BMI and everything. And then whatever their goals were, they would do physical therapy first, physical fitness first. Then we would get into therapy. So sometimes I had 5 clients, we would do like a 5K run or a 10K. We did some relays. And then, so we would do those on the weekend, but during their session, they would have a physical workout and then have the mental health. And then when I had so many, I was like, it's just me and I'm working double time. I dropped the physical side and I let my ISSA license lapse for the personal fitness because it was just too much. And I knew I
Yeah.
wanted to focus more on therapy. So I
Mhm.
did combine them both for about 3 years.
Oh wow! So see, because you got me now, like, because at first I'm thinking like you were just doing the physical piece, and the mental was a whole different thing. You actually combined them.
Mhm.
Oh wow, that's
Yes, yes.
oh.
I've thought about doing that again, but I'm like, look, these bones are like, you over 50. You need to sit down somewhere.
What's it like though? Okay, so because I'm thinking innovator, trailblazer, like what's it like? What's the weight like? Because you set a tone like in your city, like or in the city that you're in, because I'm gonna claim that this is your city. But anyway, so in the city, like you set a tone. For therapists, definitely for minority therapists, what's it been like? Has it been weighted for you? Because I know, like you're sought after. You have an answer. You have answers. You have the key in a sense, the roadmap. Like you've kind of laid it out. So I know people reach out to get. So what's that like? Because I know you can do so much pouring out, but like, what's that like for you?
Right. So initially, when I first opened, I felt like, again, I don't know what I'm doing. So I reached out to 4 or 5 other medium and large size private practices, and none of them were of color. And there were 2 or 3 that said, no, we can't help you. You're the competition. You'll take all of our Black clients. I had one, we met and we talked a little bit, but she said, I've been watching you grow and you are growing faster than me. So she got me, she said, I've gotten you to, she said, your knowledge is more than mine. So we met for about 4 times and she was really nice, but I had to go to Dayton, to Columbus, to
Mm,
get people to help me. That's why I said, when people started coming, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm having
mhm,
a hard time finding help here in this city. So I had to go outside the city. So the information that I received was really about, setting up the business where, since I had people joining to make sure that I had the accountant in place, the lawyer in place, the marketing, the advertising, those type of things. And so it was tough because
mm.
I was a little hurt that I couldn't get anybody to help this sister right here who was just trying to help our community. And you're thinking I'm telling your client, everybody's not going to see you. And some of them are coming to me saying you didn't know what you were doing. So that's why they needed people that look like us. And now, of course, there are some people who are not of color that are
Mhm.
well trained and they're a part of our community and they really do want to learn and help. So that was a hard part, trying to figure it out on my own. And at one point I was like, I want to be the largest African American owned, female private practice in Cincinnati. And so during that time, my goal was to make sure that women in the city knew that there were a bunch of African American women. There were like 2 or 3 guys, but there was like 20 women. so they would know that a lot of women are hurting, and I felt like whether it's relationships, being a single mom or parenting, they needed some place to come and feel safe. So I started connecting with other women out of this city. to see like how did they do it with their practices. So there was
Mhm.
a practice in Columbus, there was a practice in Toledo. So I kind of talked with them, and we kind of, that became my like group. So
Mhm.
a therapeutic kind of consultation group, and they helped me to get there. And then there were times when I was sad or feeling isolated and alone, because I'm like, people are pulling on me. I have to
Mhm.
make sure my staff is eating and fed, and their checks are there. I have to make sure the 1099 or the contract people have their, and I'm like, who's taking care of me where I'm taking care of everybody else? So then I was like, okay, my mental health needs to be well. So you have to balance self care when you're the owner. You have to balance making sure that everybody's needs are met. And then, making sure that if you have a family at home or a spouse, they're taken care of, but the people in the practice are. So it was a little challenging for me for a few years, but then I found like my little tribe of other women therapists, own business owners. And then I felt like when I heard about other places opening up, like Poppy's Therapeutic Corner, I'm like, yes, here we go. We got some more people in here we can
Come on,
refer
come.
to,
Yes.
So when people come to us, like we're full right now, I'm like, you can go to Poppy's Therapeutic Corner, or there's a branded, so we're just like different people that are in the community finding out and having the BIPOC directory. Now it's so great that there's not a lot of us, but there's
Yeah.
enough of us that we can refer. To other people when people are looking for like EMDR or DBT or CBT or exposure therapy. It's nice to know that we have different people here now who specialize in those, because one place can't specialize in everything and you can't
Yeah.
service everybody. So
Can.
it's great to know that now Jennifer has opened Poppy's Therapeutic Corner and you are doing your thing over there, and I love it.
Thank you so much. No, so, but like with that though, like so, because you've been here for a span of time, so you've seen transitions, you've seen the changes. Like, do you see now, like where we are in this time? Definitely, what's going on in this world, like the network shifting, like or like the us coming together more, like and hopefully I'm asking this the right way. Do you see like within the network of minority therapists, like it like being bridged together? Like, do you see that bridge shit like
Yes.
being connected
Right.
now?
This is a bridge right here. So we're bridging right here. Charisma and I had a great conversation over lunch the other day, which is phenomenal. So I'm just hoping that and praying that our connection still stays. And yes, I do see it, because there are different therapists where I've found where, like now, if there's a
Mhm.
speaking engagement that I can't do, or there's a crisis event, I have a group that I can say, hey, can you go staff this? Can
Yeah.
you do X, Y, and Z, or I need somebody to speak on this topic, and there's nobody in my practice that specializes in it. There's a doctor here who used to be in my practice like 5 years ago, and she and I are talking because she does EMDR, and I don't do that. And so when people call and ask for it, I'll talk to
Yeah.
her about, hey, can you take these clients, because I don't know too many African American
That's
women that
that
are
are doing
doing
that.
EMDR, and so it's just nice to know, to have that resource and know that we are able to connect and not look at each other as competitors. That, again, not no one person can take care of all these
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands of people here in Cincinnati. So not one practice. So it's nice, yes, that I think we are doing a better job of knowing who's out here, what the specialty areas are, and then making sure we refer and when it's appropriate.
I think that's the awesome thing to know that like we like there's too many people for the one, like so like let's just not be selfish, like I mean, but I know that's a hard thing. Like definitely like when you're building your own and it's like yours, and like you're like the like you said, like the weight is on you in a sense, because you want the people, because you want to make sure your people eat, you want to make sure your family is taken care of, you want to make sure your practice is taken care of, you got bills that's going to be due regardless if it comes in or not. But in a sense it's like just so much, only so much that you can do.
Right.
So like let's share, like hey, I don't even have a person right now, let me send you over this way,
Exactly.
or at least a referral. I think that's a great thing, a great mindset to have, because in a sense like it's real easy to be selfish. It's real easy to be selfish.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna find a way for you. I'm gonna put you on my wait list until and like no, no, no. So I did want to ask though. So what are some common myths about therapy in the faith community? Because you're a faith leader, you're, and you're in the therapy community. So like, what are some of these myths that like the faith community like holds on to?
Right. All right. So at my church, I started a ministry called Peace of Mind Ministry, POM, POMM, just because we had, and usually in Mental Health Month in May, they'll ask me to speak, or we'll do some event, like we're doing a wellness event on May 18th. So every year we do something to let the community know that God, in the Bible, it says, the worries of a person go deep. It's in Proverbs, and I'm probably quoting this
Well,
wrong.
yeah.
But but it says only a man of godly counsel can draw it out, meaning that we all have issues that are in our mind and our heart that go deep down to ourselves. But it says only a man of godly counsel can pour those out.
Mhm,
They run deep. The issues run deep like water, but only God's counsel. So I'm
mhm,
like, the kings had counsel,
mhm,
right? Back in the day, we need counsel, and God has put godly counsel, your Christian counselors here to help you. And so the stigma is still there. We pray about it.
mhm,
You don't tell your secrets. What happens here stays here. If you go to therapy, you crazy. Some pastors don't believe in therapy still to
mhm,
this day. Even though there's a huge awareness and the stigma is lessening, there's still a stigma. And so what I wanted to do, and when I met with my pastor, like maybe 7 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, I said, look, a lot of people are hurting. You can hear the wailing and the moaning and the cries in the congregation when certain topics are mentioned across the pulpit. And these people, those wails are not like, I'm crying. This is a wound. This is a
mhm,
soul wound, and I'm in pain, and I need some help, and I need
mhm,
some therapeutic help, not just the prayer part. Although I'm not, and I always tell people I'm not knocking prayer, but the
mhm,
Bible says some things, again, the godly counsel is needed, that because we've been trained to do this. The pastor's the pastor, and
mhm,
he can preach and teach and those things. But when it comes to the training of a therapist, we have been instructed, and we've gotten masters and PhDs in different therapeutic techniques that have been proven to work, that the pastor hasn't gotten the training. And it's like me saying, I'm a pastor and I've never gone to school for that, or
mhm,
tried to preach. Well, pastors don't know how to do therapy unless they've
mhm,
gone to school for it. Just like a surgeon, he doesn't know the first thing about doing therapy, but he knows how to
mhm,
do surgery. So
mhm,
it's like we have to respect that people are in this certain lane and certain vein for a reason, and that's their area of expertise. So go to the expert. If I have an issue in my mind, and my pastor says I don't believe in therapy, then you have to say, if I'm up late at night and I can't sleep because I'm worrying about my children, who maybe is out in the streets and should be coming home, but they kicking it with their friend, or I'm worried about, am I going to be able to pay this next bill, or I got to take these 27 medicines every day, or they say I'm going to die. These things I have to do to live.
yeah,
And my pastor said, just pray about it, but I can't sleep. I'm not eating. I'm losing weight. I'm constantly having a racing heart. I got migraines. That's stress. Maybe it's
mhm,
anxiety, or it could be panic. So we need to make sure that when I'm having mental health issues, I go to the mental health doctor. Just like when I'm having physical health issues, I go to the physical health doctor. So that was the foundation, or the base of where we started talking about mental health. Like, once a year you go get that checkup to make your heart and blood and your high blood pressure, your diabetes is okay, or it's not non-existent. Once a year you should at least go to the mental health doctor to make sure things that are going on in my mind that are causing me distress. If I'm worried about getting a car, buying a house, losing a house, whatever it may be, my relationship, my spouse, are they cheating? Are they not? If those things are circulating in my mind on a regular, or maybe I'm afraid of my son or my daughter because they're abusive and they want to fight me every day. If those things are worrying me and I don't have peace, and God says he's Jehovah Shalom and he'll be your peace that passes all understanding, then you need to go to that counselor, the godly counselor who God has given instruction on how to give you that peace. And we do have training. There is the Association of Christian Counselors.
mhm,
And so that's where a lot of, Christian counselors will go to get the training. And they
mhm.
have things like Counseling Kids God's Way, Marriage Works. They have different programs, Overcoming Sexual Addiction. I've been trained in those three. And they have a national conference every year. So I'm not just saying I'm a Christian counselor.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been trained in how to do these biblical techniques to help you get delivered and healed from those things that have been bothering you for years, months, weeks, whatever it may be. And so the education is first.
Mhm.
Yeah, however you do it, people have to get the education and get past the stigma or thinking that prayer is the only thing that works. It does work, but God says prayer and fasting works well, and then utilize your godly counsel.
I love that. I love that so much. So with you, and we're gonna move on because I'm just stuck on this. So like, but in this like faith based counseling approach? Because of course we know there's many different dynamics, many different approaches in the counseling field. You know, some aren't as like, spiritually based. What's it been like though? Because I know, even with like, even African Americans, I mean, like, we come from being spiritually based, but as time has gone on, generations are changing, or it's kind of shifting in a sense. The faith thing is not as like sought after,
Right.
which is, in my opinion, and I said it's my opinion, it's scary, but as faith isn't as like
Mhm.
grounded as like it used to be. So what's it been like though? Because your principle is faith.
Right.
So
So, with my in my practice, what happens are clients will come and say, they can check, I want Christian counseling, or I
mhm,
don't. And so we know the ones that come for Christian counseling. And there's a lot of young people that aren't looking for Christian counseling, but there are
mhm,
a lot that still are coming saying,
yeah.
will you pray with me? And so
Yeah.
part of the Christian counseling is, prayer before, prayer at the end, giving
Oh, I
biblical
love it.
steps in the middle, and your work is faith based. Like,
Okay.
what are you praying about? What do you believe in God for? And the steps with that. So, but it's tied in with the, traditional
Yeah.
counseling techniques. But I found that I have a lot of young people who are lost, who are like, I was a Christian, but I took this class in college
Mhm.
and now I don't believe, or I'm agnostic, or I'm atheist, or I saw this on the internet and it was talking about how, Adam and Eve came after the great big boom,
Yes.
so
All these theories.
and they're struggling because this internet highway is just so much exposure. And so you're fighting against that. But some of them will say, I'm here. It seems like something brings them back. So they'll come to
Mhm,
therapy and say, would you pray for me? So even
mhm.
though they're struggling with the faith, they still know the power of prayer.
Yes.
They still want the Christian counseling. And it's something, because I was just talking to a young girl today who's 22. And she was just saying how the guy she's dating is like, I don't believe in God anymore. And she's like, I'm struggling because I'm still going to church and I still want to, and she's, because I can counsel in other cities and things like that. She's in another part of Ohio,
Mhm,
but it's like, just to know that some young people are still like, I need help, even in my
mhm.
relationship when things change, and they're willing to do it. But it is challenging now, I think, because there's so much access to so many things that are against God and spirituality and your faith, that, yeah, if you don't know who you are and you don't have that strong relationship with God and you don't pray and read that Bible to know that you know for yourself, you could get lost out here and lose your way.
Definitely, definitely. I think that's definitely key. You can get lost. Definitely, the internet, deadly tool. That's a powerful tool, I should say.
Mhm.
And it'll have you going on a crazy highway. And it can lead you almost to nowhere if you allow it.
Right,
But the
right,
good thing is that you have a base, with your practice, that like they have the option. Like, even if they're questioning, even if they are in a place where, like, I believe but I don't, I got this, I got that, so you have a faith-based counselor who can lead you, at least help you,
right.
pray with you, through, that's awesome. So, a sound mind counseling service. So if
Yeah.
I'm looking to reach out, I can go to what, www dot, do people type in www? I don't think you have to type in www.
Yeah, just
I don't think you,
soundmindcounseling.com. That's
that's
it.
it. That's
Mhm.
it. Soundmindcounseling.com. Because yeah, so we can reach you on there. We can find more information about your practice on the sound counseling, soundmindcounseling.com. And then you're in the community, you're in the city, you're around the world, you're speaking. You have a book too, right?
Yes,
You wrote a
yes.
book.
Yeah, my book is called Life is Grand After That Man. And it's all about relationship recovery techniques for women who've gone through like a bad breakup. Now, we know
Okay.
there's good brothers out there, but
Ugh.
this is, the first book, part of the book talks about guys that are not healthy. And then it goes into some recovery techniques, some of the wounds that we have. And then the last part is all about recovering and how to start again and how to take time out to love on yourself. Because when you come out of a long-term relationship, you're supposed to take a year and a half to 2 years off. If you've been in that relationship more than 3 years, just to get back to know yourself and to clean out your soul and your spirit. So it's, this again, that's a Christian approach.
Is that just for women? Is that just for women?
That's it. everybody. If you got out of a long-term relationship or a marriage, you can't say in 3 months I'm gonna start dating. You still having you have some residuals still there inside of you. You need to clean out your soul and your spirit and break the soul tie and the connection. So, and there's steps and time for that.
And that's in this book. So we're talking about this in the book, right?
Yes, yes. And
So
so the book isn't written truly from a biblical
okay,
perspective, but there's
yeah,
some principles in there that I break down and talk about what a soul tie is and how your
yeah.
heart, your senses connect to a person and why you need to take that time to heal.
And the book, so like if I was looking to get the book, I can get it on the website. So it's
And
on the Sound Mind
it is
website,
on the website and it's also on Amazon. It is on
Amazon.
Amazon.
Amazon never fails me. Overnight ship. So I'm just saying, no, it's like,
Yes.
no, that's great. So and then you're speaking. So like you're out here speaking, you have engagements. So what's coming up if I want well, maybe if we want to support or if there's opportunities to support, what's going on?
So actually this we have a couple of events. One is actually this Saturday for kids and teens, and it's free. It's the Youth Mental Health Day. It's totally free. You can use that QR code or you can call. And I know it's Saturday if you're like, oh man, I can't do it right now. If you just come out to the Bain Center, it's in Madisonville, 4836 Ward Street. It's the center that's connected to the church there, New Life Temple. And so we'll have games, we'll have speakers on mental health issues for kids. We're giving them lunch, swag bags. We'll have a teen panel talking about how they deal with their mental health. So that's coming up. And then we have a men's mental health day. It's called Mentality Day.
Oh
So
wow.
Mentality Day. And I've actually got the fraternities, all the Greek fraternities, we just met with them and talked with them, and they're going to get on board and they're going to try and, work together because I think it's really great that the men in the Divine Nine will come together and support this event initiative and get men there. That's totally free for men. Again, lunch will be provided. We'll have vendors at this one for selling men products, male products, and we have a gentleman that'll be talking on fatherhood, one on finances, one on gun violence, and this other one is talking about the new operating system, where he'll be talking about how you need to operate differently in your mindset, how you think, and how you engage with other brothers and your family and your friends, so that your mind is calm and at peace, regardless of what's going on.
Geesh. No, like I'm sitting there like trying to take that in. Like I definitely will be at that event. So
Okay. Yeah.
yes, that's awesome. So Dr. Chantel Thomas, you're are you still in the chair though? So like because I feel like I need to like schedule and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to this website, but I'm not able to schedule with you, or is it like just your other clinicians, your
Right.
other
So
practitioners?
currently, I'm doing a lot of speaking, so I'm moving more into the speaking realm. So I've been a keynote at a few different conferences here because I just love to speak to large groups of people. It's fun. So I just spoke at Cincinnati State last week for their Celebrate graduation for their young people who just graduated college, and so I want to speak more to young people about life. So I've cut back. I love being in the chair, and I love when people get it and they have that moment like, oh, the aha moment
Yeah.
where a light bulb goes on and their life changes. So I do about 20 hours in a week, but
Mhm.
then the rest of the time I'm out, doing some networking or, doing a speaking event, or I might be doing like a crisis event. Like again, when there's like mass shootings, I get called like to when Buffalo or New York or like Sandy, those different things is one of my specialty areas. So I'm moving more into that, but I do still sit in the chair. I just
Okay.
get away from that. I love working and connecting with people one on one.
I thank you so much. I didn't say it earlier, but we already told you backstage. So before we get off, I definitely want you to drop some type of gem on us to kind of help us get from today till next week, this same time next week. So some type of gem, if you can, before we get off, like let
Yeah.
us,
Yes.
know that I would
Yeah.
love that.
So one thing that I would say is that in order for your mind to be sound and you to have peace, the first 7 minutes of the day or the last 7 minutes of the day are very important. If you think about God's perfect number, it's seven. So 7 minutes. So when you get up that first 7 minutes, if you get up and you're like, oh, I'm calming myself, I'm taking a bath, I'm gonna listen to some relaxing music, your day is going to start out calm because your mind is prepared to relax and be calm. But if you start out like, oh my God, I got to go, I got to get the kids, I got to do, you're going to be hyped and you're going to be anxious. So again, try to calm yourself down. And then when you go to bed, the last 7 minutes of the day are very important too. have your mind focused on nothing. Just clear your mind and your thoughts. Don't think about what you're worried about or what's going to happen tomorrow. If you're one that does worry, have a notepad and a pen by your bed. Write your thoughts out. Once you put them on paper, it helps you to sleep better. And so the last 7 minutes are important so that you're not watching any bang, bang, shoot 'em up, mummy, sinners, whatever it is. Don't have that in your spirit, because then it causes people to have nightmares. Things that scare you causes you to, or make you afraid or jump, cause you to not rest well. And so we need to have, men need to have 6.5 hours of sleep every night, and women need to have 7, in order for us, for our bodies to repair itself. So when we are sleeping, our body rebuilds, all the organs are being repaired. And if we don't get that 6.5 or 7, then your organs aren't repairing itself. People, that's when, why people who are addicted to alcohol, or some type of, have an addiction in that area, if they stop drinking alcohol for 30 days, they get a new liver. The liver regenerates itself if you get your sleep in. So just those things like that, something as simple as the last 7 minutes of the day, the first 7 minutes of the day, are very important to my mental health, because it causes me to have peace, shalom, be calm and relaxed.
I love that. Like literally, I'm gonna try that too. I'm gonna do that
Okay.
starting tonight. So yes, my last 7 minutes are gonna be so vital. So phone off, TV off.
Yes. Nothing.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I thank you so much.
You're
Like,
welcome.
yes, I thank you so much for spending this time with us, dropping these nuggets. Like, thank you for like being the trailblazer that you are. Even if you don't consider yourself that, we thank you for all the work that you've done. The map that you laid out for us. We thank you for all that you've done. Again, thanks for spending this time with us. We look for even greater work from you. So our eyes are on you.
Thank
Just
you. And
know that.
thank you all for having me at Poppy's Therapeutic Corner. This has been great. And hi, Charisma.
Yeah, she's been letting us know that she's watching. She's keep
Yes.
putting her comments down there.
Yes.
So thank you so much, y'all. Y'all, we are here every Wednesday, 6:30, with great people like Dr. Shantel Thomas. Y'all, this conversation is real live and it's for you. So join us, share, heart the video, share this video though. Let somebody know that this conversation happened on tonight, y'all. We'll see you next week. Thank you. Love y'all. Y'all be blessed.